With Blue Link Plus, you can access your Hyundai Tucson Limited remotely. Doors unlocked, temperature set, lost car found.
There it is.
Get complimentary class-leading Blue Link Plus. Call 562-314-4603 for complete details.
This is GoPowerCat.com publisher Tim Fitzgerald. Thank you for listening to this PowerCat podcast. Make sure you never miss an episode of the PowerCat podcast by subscribing on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, or your favorite podcast network. And if you enjoy this podcast, please consider becoming a subscriber to GoPowerCat.com. We cover the Wildcats like no one else, with our VIP customers enjoying one-of-a-kind coverage from our team of professional journalists. And sign up today for an annual subscription to GPC and grab a 30% discount on your first year. And now here's the PowerCat Podcast.
The following is a GoPowerCat.com and Spirit Street production. You've discovered your link to GoPowerCat.com's Tannahill and Spiller Powercat Podcast, presented by Fridge Wholesale Liquor, and it starts right now. Now, let's go to the WTC Gig-Powered Studios. Here are your hosts, former K-State tight end Travis Tannahill and former Wildcat safety Monte Spiller.
Welcome back, week 2, Tannahill and Spiller Podcast. Fortunately, we might be bad luck. 2 weeks of us and two notches in the loss column for the Cats. So, saw you at the game.
Yeah.
That was about the highlight of my day.
No doubt. I was, the weather, it cleared up. Rain went away. Sun came out. The unis look good.
Yeah, that's another positive.
Yeah, they look good. The guys didn't play like it.
No, agreed.
Oh, man, where do you want to start? You know, the good news, the bad news, the looking forward, you know. Obviously, the bad news, we took a 31-12 loss to Baylor. The good news, we got a bye week. You know,
yeah. Another week to regroup. We'll touch on Knowles here in a bit, and hopefully we can get him healthy. And anytime he had a week off, that's always good. I was a little. I don't think we know exactly what's going on there. I know it's a foot, ankle, stretch fracture. I'm not a doctor, so I was a little surprised he even went. I know those feet and ankles are. It's like you got to give it time to heal 100% or you're going to be playing hurt for a long time. So I was a little disappointed almost to see him out there. I was like, no, just let him heal up, and we got another bye week, so that's like 14 days difference there, where hopefully he didn't re-aggravate or re-injure anything. So yeah, what are your thoughts on that? You ever played through an injury like that where you just couldn't quite get healthy?
Yeah, and the thing about it is, with a skilled guy like him, you know, he makes a lot of cuts, and he's a speed guy, and your feet, your ankle, whatever it may be, that's super, super important. You know, I looked at him and I saw him warm up, and I was excited for him, but on the flip side, kind of like you said, you know, don't rush him back. And I'm glad the young man wants to be out there and wants to be part of the team because he is a key contributor. But, you know, it's early in the season, in the Big 12 season. Let's save the guy. If he's not 100%, you know, keep him out, let him heal up, and have some other guys hopefully step up.
Not only early in the season, but, I mean, early in his career. I mean, I know guys who have battled injuries for their whole entire career, and they just, for whatever reason, it always seems like it's especially those feet. I mean, guys with bad toes or bad, you know,
right.
The turf toe. I mean, that'll bog guys down for 2 or 3 years. Just never cleans up and never gets healed. So, obviously, young in his career as a freshman, and you know the offseason's a long time to heal up. So 98% of those injuries heal up in the offseason, and obviously you got nothing to. No reason not to rest a guy in the offseason. Right. So hopefully they just didn't set him back. But we could have used him, one catch, 5 yards, not I think they threw to him 4 times in that first quarter, and he was getting open. We just couldn't find him. Yeah, exactly. And speaking of getting open, it's one of those situations. There were a lot of lowlights rather than highlights of the game. And I'm going to kind of touch base on something we talked about. I was disappointed in the way the offensive line played Saturday. Being a veteran group,
I expected a lot more of them down in Stillwater and figuring, hey, we got a week to recover, see what we did wrong. It's a Big 12 home opener. It's Fort Riley Day, new unis. The weather was nice. I expected our O-line to come out with vengeance and just kind of control the game. And I knew Baylor had some studs at D-line, which they showed.
Yeah.
Those guys are big and fast and powerful. And I tell you what, a couple of those guys are future NFL players. But I expected our O-line as a group to respond better. And I know they want to. But my question is, what's going on? At times we looked lost. We didn't have that fire, in my opinion. And there were moments where I felt like we were just hoping to make a play rather than basically imposing our will on Baylor.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I think, I don't know, I watched the Oklahoma State film, watched it live, and then watched it again. Baylor game I'll get to watch tomorrow, and that's where you can really, press replay 12 times and see exactly what happened on a play. But just seeing it live, I mean, Oklahoma State, we were so close. We were one block away. We were, one missed assignment, pushing to the wrong linebacker away, which is an easy fix. But this Baylor game, it was like it's just clogged up. Like we're just getting beat, man up. We're just not moving people off the ball and not opening up those seams, and it's which is worrisome because it's easy to mental errors are the easiest thing to pick up or clean up, and one block away, that's hopefully you can figure that out by the end of the year. But if everyone's doing what they're asked and everyone's blocking their guy and we just can't create any movement and create any separation for those backs, that's not a good place to be.
It's not, I kind of joked with my wife and a couple of my friends that were sitting around me. I said, it's like K-State put on Baylor's uniforms and Baylor put on K-State uniforms from teams of the past. K-State was the team that, took the fight to you. We imposed our will. We were physical. May not have been the most athletic and the most talented across the board, but Baylor, they were the more physical team. And when you say Baylor, normally you think speed, skill guys, hurry up offense, not pound the rock like they did, and not get to the ball and wreak havoc on the offense. And it's kind of like they switch roles with us, and as a K-Stater, and I'm pretty sure all the K-State fans would agree, we're not accustomed to just getting pushed around.
Yeah, no, and I don't like it. I just don't like that mentality. I think that coaching staff's trying to bring that mentality. It's not like we're abandoning that and going to a spread offense. I mean, this offense, if this offense is going to be successful, they're going to have to get tough and nasty and move some people off the ball. But I think, too, I wasn't maybe giving Baylor enough credit coming into that game.
I don't think anybody did.
They were a little better than I thought they were. So
those guys could play.
Yeah, they were pretty solid. Obviously sitting at 5-0. I mean, they gotta be feeling real good about themselves.
Yeah. Anything's possible, and it's the Big 12. It's one of those conferences where there's always preseason. You got the top two. You got Texas. You got Oklahoma, and that's kind of a given just because of the national perception. But then there's always two or three teams that you have an inkling of an idea. Say, hey, this guy they can surprise you, or they can jump up and beat this team. And Baylor was not one of those teams in conversation. Iowa State was a team in the conversation. Oklahoma State, who got upset by Texas Tech, was a team in that conversation. And all of a sudden, Baylor's quietly at 5-0. They beat us, they beat Iowa State, and they played 3 non-conference games that obviously weren't the challenges of a Big 12 team. But the way they came here and physically outmanned us in some certain aspects, you got to respect them. And if you don't, something's wrong with you.
Yeah, I mean, next week they go to Texas Tech, which definitely winnable. Texas Tech looked pretty good against an Oklahoma State team, but I don't think that Texas Tech team is anything to be too fearful of. And then going on the road at Oklahoma State, West Virginia they'll be favored at, TCU probably favored at. I mean, they could be going into Oklahoma on November 16th. Ooh. That'd be 1, 2, 3, 4 plus 5 is 9. So 9-0 heading into OU.
Right.
Talk about a big game. I mean, a couple of those aren't gimmies. I mean, they got to show up for Oklahoma State and Texas Tech. But you see the script kind of maybe aligning for a big game there against OU. And that's what we all do as fans for this Kansas State team is you look ahead and, it's the one thing you can't do as a player, but we're fans. We get to do it. So,
Oh, yeah.
And you looked at our schedule and it lined up pretty nice.
Yeah.
And then
Then last week happened.
Well,
and it's what there's, as much as what Aaron Rodgers, I believe, a couple of years ago, the Packers were losing, and he basically said, relax. And as a K-State fan, I want to say, relax. We got a bye week. And then we have Gary Patterson, the defensive mastermind, TCU, Alex Delton, former K-State quarterback, coming into town, and that makes for a storyline as well. But, and Gary is the Kansas guy as well, and the K-State guy also. So that actually adds more intrigue, I would hope, to it leading up to the game. And we could easily be in a situation, depending on how TCU plays this week, we could be in a situation where it's not a must-win game, but it's not a game that you want to lose moving forward in the Big 12 because you got to look at bowl eligibility and everything else. So it's a very important game.
Yeah, this is a game where I think you got to get the train back on the tracks. I mean, definitely a winnable game. Going down to Oklahoma after that, Oklahoma at home after that. We all know that's going to be a tall task. Not impossible, but tall task.
Yeah.
And so I think this game, you got to steal one more win and be at that 4 wins heading into the tail end of the season. And going back to TCU and Alex Delton, I don't think you and I have ever even spoken about this off air. But what are your thoughts on that? A guy sitting in number 2 at the quarterback spot, an athletic kid, probably could have found somewhere else on the field to play if he really would have gone to the coaches and said, "Hey, I know I'm sitting at number 2. I'll be ready if Skyler goes down.
Right.
Put me in a wide receiver. Put me in at H-back. Find somewhere for me to play." And not only transferring, but transferring to in-conference opponent.
There's a lot probably that went into it because I believe initially he was heading to UTEP. I believe.
I believe so. Yeah, that was the rumors which totally would have made sense.
Yeah, and I can't blame the kid. Head coach he's familiar with, a system that he probably would have ran that he's been running for years. So that's a sensible. And then all of a sudden, news comes out that he's going to TCU. And I didn't put a whole lot of thought into it initially because the persona and the belief I have with Gary Patterson, I believe he's not one of those coaches that would intentionally go out and try to grab a kid from a same conference to get an advantage. I don't think that's Gary Patterson's way of operating. I think it just felt right for Alex. And as you know, you were a high school quarterback, I believe, and most quarterbacks, you guys feel like that you're the best. You have to be a productive quality.
Yep.
And I think he felt like, hey, you know what? I'm a quarterback at heart. This is a position I've played since yay little. I want to continue to be playing quarterback in a Power 5 conference, Big 12, and I want to do it at a high level. And the opportunity arose. I think he jumped at it, and I can't really blame the kid.
Yeah, no, I agree. And for the record, I could have played quarterback. I blew my elbow out my junior year in high school.
Uncle Rico?
And I can't throw a baseball 20 yards anymore. But
I hear you.
But shoot, I'd be the next Big Ben or Aaron Rodgers or something if my elbow would have stayed intact. So
there you go.
Going back to the old high school days. Speaking of high school, how'd you guys do Friday night? Doing all right?
We did well, man. I was proud of the kids. We had a big win. It's a 14-0 game. I was just proud of my defense. They came out.
Shutout. First one of the year?
It is. It is. We held them to under 100 yards rushing, and they are a run-heavy team, and I was really proud of the kids. They had a good time. It was homecoming, so all the players left with a smile on their face, and when we got out of the locker rooms, moms and dads and their cheerleader friends and girlfriends, whatever they have nowadays, young guys, so you know how that goes. But it was a good evening. I got to bed at a decent time, and I got a good night of rest.
First shutout of your defensive coordinating career?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I might have had one a few years back when I was out in Hayes, Kansas at Hayes High. But, man, time flies. That's over almost 19 years ago, so I don't remember.
Man.
Yeah.
All right, shifting gears to a little bit of KU. News came out this afternoon. Fired their offensive coordinator already.
I saw that.
Week 6. And less is done.
Yeah.
Less is done.
Yeah. You think there's room for panic in Lawrence?
I mean, I don't. Firing coordinators is always a weird stuff. I mean, first off, we don't know what's going on in that conference room,
right?
In that coaches meeting room. And if there's, what people don't understand is all these coaches, kind of like what you said about the quarterbacks. I mean, they are all alpha males.
Yeah.
They believe they're the best, and if they don't think they're the best, they're not good coaches.
Exactly.
So you put 12 grown men who are alpha, ultra-competitive men in a room, and you try to get them to agree on anything. So I can only imagine sometimes the conversations, the disagreements, the hierarchy, the pecking order of what goes on in those conference rooms. And that's where I think you need a good coordinator, because that's the natural, his way or the highway, buck stops here. And so if your head coach is putting any doubt in that coordinator, or if any of the assistants are feeling doubt with that coordinator, I think that's what really, is obviously detrimental to a program. Yeah. So I don't know. It's just interesting that, Les, what'd you expect?
I know, exactly.
Are you a little disappointed you're not putting up 35 points a game? and they actually put up, I think they put up 20 against OU or something like that.
And the thing about it, I watched a little bit of that game, and and as much as I'm not a fan of KU, I give them credit. Their defenses in the last several years under Clint Bowen, and even this year, they've had athletic defenses that give them chances to stay in games. It is what it is. It's good defense, but they're so undisciplined on so many levels. I kind of watched a few of the plays where they had Oklahoma like in 3rd and 25, I think it was, and they ended up getting the first down and ended up getting a touchdown after the fact based on some penalties. But you could tell certain guys are trying, but I can see the frustration on the coaches' faces. And if you look in the stands, it's...
the knitter. Did you see the knitter?
Yes. That is classic. I'm like, you make national news because you're knitting at a football game. Yeah.
Oh, man.
That's awesome.
Hey, we can't talk too much crap. I think K-State had Baylor at 3rd and 22-ish, somewhere around there.
Don't remind me.
Had two guys there, 7-8 yards short of the sticks, and both missed them. And then we actually had one more chance. I don't remember who it was, but had a chance to make a tackle. And we heard Coach Kleiman. I feel like that team had been so, in last year and in years past, that team had been so beat up by the fan base, by the media, by coaches that, they've been told they weren't very good for quite a long time. Yeah. So Coach Kleiman comes in and he's like, we're going to kill these guys with positivity. I don't care if they suck. We're going to tell them they are awesome. Yeah. And hopefully they're going to go out and play like they're awesome. Yeah. And he's been sticking to that to that tune all off season. Yeah. Even 2 weeks ago after Oklahoma State, he stuck to that tune. Right. And then this week we see just a little bit of a little bit of honesty. Exactly. All right, we did not tackle well. Yeah, we were not a good tackling football program this week, and which I think was neat. Come on, Coach. Your players aren't stupid. They know if they didn't play well. And we saw Skyler take it. Yeah. He said, "Put this loss on me," which I don't agree with that either. No. But so it's. I like that Coach Kleiman starting to come into a little bit of, all right, let's get off this positive, let's pat these millennials on the back kind of tune. And I don't know. I got my face ripped off plenty of times, and it motivated me. And I think I'm for letting the kid know or a young person know, say, hey, I'm not okay with the way you played. I still love you, but I expect this out of you. And if you're going to be a starter, you have to make these plays. And if you don't make this play, next man up. And I think those kids need to have that pressure on them. And that's just the nature of high-level collegiate NFL high school football. You got to have pressure. It's part of it. And no offense to these kids, but wait till you get to life.
Yeah.
Do this or you're fired, and you and your wife go hungry.
Exactly.
Talk about pressure.
Yes, indeed.
Well, you got anything else to say about Baylor?
I want to kind of bypass Baylor as much as possible because, hey, kudos to Baylor. Congrats. You earned that win. They dominated. It is what it is. But, kind of a word to the current K-State family and the K-State football team. People forget this is Coach's first season. And I think we kind of expected we had higher expectations after those first 3 games, and I can see it's human nature. But you got to understand, the Big 12 is a quality conference, and there are other new coaches out there, but Baylor's coach is not new. Oklahoma State coach is not new. They understand football, and they have quality assistants just as we do. So don't panic. I understand it's frustrating. Keep coming to the games. The boys need you as fans. And one thing I will say, I was really impressed with the student section on Saturday because they stayed the majority of the game and they were pumped up, and it was good to see a full stadium for the Big 12 home opener. So, I don't like losing. I know you don't like losing. I hate to see my teams lose. But be patient. Give them a chance. I think they're going to be okay.
Yeah, I think they'll be all right. As long as we have no more 99-yard drives that start in front of our awesome student section.
Yes.
And in front of my seats right there. I was like, oh, man, this is a that one hurt. After that, I was like, oh, boy, this is not good.
On a positive, let's give a shout-out to the punter.
Shoot, Ansel?
He had I thought he had a great game.
Heck yeah.
He did phenomenal, and he doesn't give enough credit in the kicking game as far as that. That was a bright spot.
Yeah, he pinned that one inside the 2. So I sit in the north end zone, and so that punt was coming right towards me, and I thought he shanked it. I mean, off the foot. I was like, oh, that's not a good one. And the next thing I know, it's landing at the 2-yard line, about 1 yard from the out of bounds line, so at the sideline. So, and then he had another good one that I think got called back.
Yeah.
And then he didn't. It wasn't not a bad punt, but it wasn't an inside the 5 punt.
No.
On the redo. So yeah, Ansel's doing well, and he gets pumped up.
He
and
does.
I mean, I love punters.
Yeah, he's a good-looking kid. I tell you what, I love to see him punt, but I don't want to see him punt.
Yeah, I know.
If that makes sense, I don't like our offense going 3 and out and seeing him come out to punt. So let's try to limit his action as much as possible.
Yep. So. Well, I think it's safe to say we need it's kind of funny because it's not, a lot of times you can pin it down to one thing. It's like, no, we need a little better play from everyone. So
yeah.
We need a little better tackling on the defense. We need a little more pressure on the quarterback. We need Skyler to play a little better. We need offensive line to play a lot better. And we need receivers to play a lot better. So.
Yeah. And we need guys to get healthy. Healthy.
Yes. Once I'll be excited. Hopefully we can get Malik back here. Towards the tail end of the season and get healed up and it's go from there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. We're gonna take a break here, coming up pretty soon, and come back and reconnect with one of my old college buddies, Mike Lawrence, running back out of Florida. We came in together as freshmen, young and impressionable and not having a clue when you come from Texas and Florida to good old Manhattan, Kansas. It's a different environment, but I believe that we both adapted well and ended up having good careers here academically and athletically, and definitely enjoyed our time here and Coach Snyder and his staff in the earlier years. So we'll be reconnecting with former K-State running back Mike Lawrence here shortly.
The Tannahill and Spiller Powercat Podcast is sponsored by Fridge Wholesale Liquor. The Fridge is your source for all of your tailgate and party needs. The Powercat Podcast will be right back.
Is your January looking dry? Get some lotion. Get a humidifier. And better yet, get Drizzly, the go-to app for drink delivery. With Drizzly, you can compare prices across local stores to get the best price on a huge selection of drinks perfect for dry January. Every single time. Non-alcoholic wines? Have a look. Ready-made mocktails? Grab a straw and order them up. Beer without the alcohol? Yep, take your pick. You can find all of them here, in the app, in that phone that's in your hand. Could it be any simpler? Nope, not a chance. So shop for great deals on all your dry January beverages or other drinks and get them delivered to your door or blanket fort, maybe. Download the Drizzly app or go to drizzly.com. That's DRIZLY.com. Must be 21 plus, not available in all locations. And don't forget to lotion up your elbows. They're looking a little dry.
Listen up. I won't sugarcoat it. This is the longest cold, flu, and allergy season we've ever seen, but we're not alone. We've got Instacart. Sure, you may be a coughing snot faucet who just wants mommy, but you're not giving up! Not when cold medicine, fragrant herbal teas, and honey shaped like bears can be delivered through Instacart in as fast as 30 minutes! Now let's go win the sick playoffs!
Daddy, I just want my soup.
Oh, sorry, Sport. App says it'll be here in a few minutes. Instacart for the win.
And now we return to the Tannahill and Spiller Powercat Podcast, sponsored by Fridge Wholesale Liquor.
Mike, what's going on, man?
What's up, big boss?
Hey, trying to make it. Trav and I are sitting here talking about Saturday's game and the year so far. Before we get started, tell me about what you got going on. What's going on with Mike Lawrence?
Right now, man, I'm back down in Tampa, currently working as an offensive coordinator at a high school, Wharton High School, down in Tampa area. So before that, was in college coaching for a little bit, but now back in the high school range.
You liking being back in the high school?
I do for the most part, but, miss college coaching.
Right.
It's a lot easier. Don't have to deal with parents as much, but the big thing is, that's what makes it a little bit different. But, the game is what it is, and trying to give back to the young men to be able to help them, give them the opportunity to be able to go on and play college ball. So having that background now under my belt, being a college coach, I can, better prepare these kids to be able to have an opportunity.
Yeah, probably you can't, at the college program, at the end of the day, you can just tell them to pack their bags and head home. It probably doesn't work in a school system down in Florida.
Not in school system down here, but, the main thing, you just send them home for the day.
Yep.
That's the difference, like you said, hey, man, you can pack your stuff, go back where you came from, and we appreciate you. But, it's different. You want to teach them how to be more disciplined and how to be able to, be a better player. So then that way when they go in, they're better prepared. That's one of the things I think that's good with me being back there, because a lot of the kids, they're straight got, you have different types, today you got stars, but you got different type of kids who have the ability to play the game, but they don't really still understand the game because they're just playing off of pure talent. But teaching it now is completely different than before.
No, I'm with you on that. I'm currently at the high school level as well. Let's kind of switch over real quick. Now, you came in back in '93, and you were surrounded by a bunch of other good backs. Now, K-State runs a multi-back rotation system, and I'm pretty sure you've coached some of the games. You played with J.J. Smith, Leon, Eric Hickson, Dedrick Kelly, Rod Schiller, a bunch of other guys. So you were
Leon Edwards.
Yeah, Leon Edwards as well. Yeah, you're a great back yourself. Now, coming in, what was the feel like knowing that you had so many guys in the backfield that could run the ball and make plays? And it's kind of similar to what Coach Kleiman has right now as far as a rotation and ability. What is your thoughts on this K-State running back class 2019?
Well, let me speak first on us and our class and where we came in, because, you and I came in the same year, and the big thing and the difference was it was a big learning curve. So the first thing in being able to come in, and it was about learning what you have going on, and then the next thing was competing. As it came in for our second year, now it was about competing and being able to have the fall back on a guy who has the ability to be able to still play. But what ended up happening for us, it's you had each person had a different style, but at the same time, they could rely on each one of those guys to get the job done. As far as the class and what Kleiman has, I think the biggest thing is playing the position. You get the rotation. I will say this, and I think I can speak for them a little bit, is who has the hot hand. You got to go with that first. You can't shuffle in and out different backs, because now you got the carousel and somebody who has the hot hands and they're tearing it up and they're going. You got to go with that, because it breaks up your game of being in a zone and being able to be able to perform like you need to. That's the difference. far as playing, I mean, it's just hard, it's hard to stay in the groove and stay level-headed, because I can tell you each one of those backs, they're like, I want to play. I want to play more. I want to be able to have the ball a lot more. Oh, yeah. So we loved each other. Don't get it twisted now. Like, we supported, had each other back, and one of the biggest competition for me was Eric Hickson.
Oh yeah,
because that we was a duo, and that was the difference between him and I. It was like we were tight. Like, we can go in and you're not going to skip a beat with each one of us.
No.
Either one, because you're going to perform.
Right.
But for these guys to basically, now they're saying, well, who's going to start? Who's going to get the ball? Now, am I going to get the ball this way? And it's just, they got to get in a rhythm. So you got to go with who's having the hot hand and whoever's balling and playing out. Now, the thing is watching it, certain ones do certain things.
Yeah.
And that's the dynamics and the difference as far as in our class, and even with JJ them and all of us, we could all do it all. Yeah. So we can pass pro, we can run, we can catch out of the backfield, line up as a receiver as needs be. So it's just different, right. Everybody's not going to be happy. That's just how it's going to be.
Yeah.
But if they're supportive,
that's a tough balance. Sorry, that's a tough balance of riding the hot hand and keeping guys fresh. I know. Yeah. I'm sure coaches struggle with that. I mean, I would struggle with that even as a player. It was like, all right, I don't like getting yanked out every other play, throwing in, those 10 personnel, all wide receivers. I hated that. I hated being on the sideline. But also, it's like, man, I've played like 6 drives in a row for 7 snap drives. Like, give me just one series and I'll be good to go.
Yep.
And so definitely it's a tough balance and keeping guys fresh. So when they are able to hit a hole with some speed, they got the legs to make a big play. But also and they got a feel for the game, so they're in there enough. I remember as a quarterback in high school, I mean, we ran the ball all the time. So coach would ask me to throw it like on 3rd and 9, the most important part of the game. Like, coach, I haven't thrown a ball in 2 hours. Like, how am I supposed to throw? How am I supposed to throw a ball like a perfect 12-yard out route from the far hash? And it drove me nuts, which is kind of what you're talking about on that running back spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a thing that, man, and being a back, you can have fresh legs, but if you're not getting warmed up and getting in there and getting in the fire, then it makes it tough for you to be able to really perform when it's your opportunity. I mean, and that's the thing with those guys, everybody wants to get in. He has a nice little rotation that's going on. But if you were to ask them guys and you look at it and you see who's getting the ball,
right?
It ends up becoming now, and this is what probably transfer or happens later on, who's been most productive.
Right.
Now, you get what I'm saying?
Now, I'm with you, and I get it, and that can happen in any position, running backs, D-backs, receivers, and those guys, those skill offensive positions, they are guys who feel like, hey, I'm the dude, I'm the best, put me on the field. Let me ask you this, Mike, because I know you big into fashion. You like to design stuff. What's your thoughts on the most recent uniforms?
Well, I do have my own sports label right now, but I think, it's for us. You think about this, Monte. If we had that made us feel just a little bit more. It's across the board. Now, far as, let me answer your question. The question is how do I like the uniform?
Right.
The uniforms will fly, regardless of the fact. Now I can see that thing in an all white.
Right.
Now we just going like, whoa.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But
I'm with you.
The thing is it's what everybody say. Look good, play good, look good, feel good, play good. For us. How we were. We came off a tree where it doesn't matter how you look. It's going to still come down to the production of what you do. Now, if it was me, I'd have pulled them white things out against KU. That's when I would have brought that thing out. That was when it would have been just like, whoa, like, boy. But they look good, man. I mean, it's a different look for them, of course, because they're so used to the traditional, but, you know, they still had that purple. But it doesn't – it all is going to come down to how the kids feel about it, because that's when – I mean, Monte, you're at high school. You know how it is. Kids, they all about how they look.
Right.
And now you look at these other colleges, they have these different uniforms. Well, K-State, I mean, before, I mean, you know, when Coach, what was his name that was there from Junction City? What was his name, Coach?
From JC. Which coach?
The one that came from Virginia, who went to the pros.
Oh, Prince.
What's his name? Prince.
Ron Prince. Yeah, Ron Prince.
Ron was there. Yeah, right. well, see, but that was the thing. Ron went in and kind of tried to change it and all that other stuff. It didn't kind of go well, but it was what people felt. Now, this is a different type of feel, you know, moving forward, and they're just trying to give them an edge. And that's why I think that change came on that day. They wanted an edge, you know, make them feel good about whatever else, because I am sure, regardless of the fact that was going to be in the plan of what they were going to rock those at some point in time, they had a loss. Maybe that was what they needed to get them going and get them back on track. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think they.
But I like them.
Yeah, I think they were trying to just forget about a bad Oklahoma State loss and trying to get the game week practice back on the right track. And I always thought K-State's jerseys were at like an awkward like there's the traditions. There's we got traditions from the 80s and the 90s, but it's not like Alabama from like the 1920s. Like those are traditional uniforms. We're at this like awkward 80s, 90s. Like they're good looking uniforms, but they're not like they're so historic that we can't change them. And it's like let's change them up a little bit. And I'm cool. I think the white pants and white helmets. I mean, I'd be cool with those being the primary home uniforms. Those are awesome,
right?
So. Those things, they clean now. They clean. I bet this is what. Oh, go ahead.
No, you're good. You're good. No, I'm with you on that, Mike. Hey, who knows? We might go white on white when we go to Lawrence. Hey, and I'll be right there rocking it with them. You know what I mean? So.
I'll be in the stand.
Now, Monte, let me ask you a quick question.
Go ahead, man.
How do you think Coach Snyder felt about those uniforms?
You want the politically correct answer?
You're gonna have to do it.
No, I think Coach probably was. I'm assuming somebody probably went to Coach and prepared him for it. Say, hey, listen, Coach, this is what's happening. This is what's going down. And, and even if Coach didn't agree with it, I'm pretty sure he gave it his blessing, because I truly believe that Coach understands that, we have to allow Coach Kleiman to make it his. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think Coach Snyder, he may not agree with it, but I think he probably gave it his blessing because he wants Coach Kleiman to be successful. He wants the program to be successful, and he probably gave him his blessing. But his initial thought, I can only imagine.
Shoot, Maynard doesn't like change. Which, Mike, you brought up KU and Lawrence twice now, so I'm gonna go there real quick. And since we brought up Coach Snyder as well. First off, I'm assuming you saw the story of KU's basketball night with Snoop Dogg, with there being like stripper poles and dancers. And the first thing that went through my mind was, first off, the AD and Coach Self played I didn't know that. No one told me. And it's like, I played for a coach that you couldn't sneeze in that building without him knowing. He just had his hand in everything, and everything had to get approved and by him. But what's your thoughts on what's going down there in Lawrence and just that's just mind-boggling to me.
I say this: they trying to bring attention to the program. They're doing exactly that. Because you got to think about it. And there's no disrespect to them, but I'm a Wildcat for life. They're not spoke about when it comes to football. So what do you have to do in order for them to be able to be spoke about football? You get what I'm saying? It's always we know that a lot of the questions is why did Les Miles take that job, and why KU when he could have went anywhere else? Well, You know, he wants to be that guy to turn that program around and bring some life into it and everything else. But for somebody to say they had no idea, come on, man.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's Snoop Dogg, and I like Snoop, but I'm like, come on. So, hey, you, as an out-of-state guy, I grew up in Kansas City, so I've hated KU for, decades now. Showing up into Manhattan, Kansas, I mean, this is a place that Monte and I both live and choose to live here now and love it. What was your impressions, getting off the bus, getting off the plane that first time, and that for the feel and the love of Manhattan, and then also the hatred of Lawrence, Kansas?
Yeah, well, the feeling of getting off the bus was my ass is ready to go back home. I am from Miami, Florida, where things is just real wild. But I'm gonna tell you, being there and being a part of everything that transpired, Monte will tell you we're proud of, we're part of a program, and we decided first class that really set the foundation. You look at when Monte and I played, there was no time where you had cats acting a fool or doing anything else. The man set his expectation, and we went out and executed, and it wasn't about anything else but being dominant. You know what I'm saying? And being a part of that. We never lost to KU. Mm-hmm. And when we played, and when I performed some of my best games against KU. Yes, sir. Me and Eric, we were first back, and it's probably still record in history for the two backs to go over 100 yards against them multiple times. So, I don't hate KU, but I love playing against KU, and it just was a good thing. And Manhattan, Kansas, my daughter was born there, so I am my oldest, so I'm forever indebted to being a part of, the K-State family and what it did and how it, molded me, because even when I graduated, I left and I came back, and I was living in Manhattan, Kansas for a good little while and everything else. So, you guys choose to live in a place that is way beyond what it was when we first were there. I mean, it's developed so much. So we got to call it the mini apple instead of the little apple, because we can't really call it the big apple because we're in between that. It's grown so much now. Right. You guys know that from being there. So it's a great place. Good I mean,
hey, real quick,
I love it.
Real quick before I let you go, I'm gonna bring back some memories for you, and you were aware of this obviously because you were there, and a lot of people may not know. You and I were fortunate enough to play arena ball after college down in Tennessee, and won a championship down there as well. And it's funny because when we got there, Kansas State, people knew about Kansas State, but that's SEC country down there in Tennessee in Knoxville. And they were all about this, which is great, which is fine. But I think they had a new respect for Kansas State after the fact, because believe me, I'm a talker, but I didn't talk nearly as much as Mike on the field.
I didn't have to talk.
But Michael, he'll score a touchdown, and he'll look at you and remind you, hey, that was you. He'll let you know, I just ran you over, I just outran you, or I just scored on you. And he did kickoff returns for us, too, and he played a little receiver as well at the backfield. But it was one thing about it. Our coaches down there knew about the program we came from and understood that, hey, these guys, we put them on the field, then they have a thing to worry about. And that's something
they're gonna perform, and that was one of the things. Is Monte would tell you, as he just elegantly put it. They respected us more, because even after that,
right.
Monte, I don't know if you remember, but the next following year, 2001, after that year, they go to the Cotton Bowl, play against the University of Tennessee and whoop that ass.
I remember. JB showed out. Yeah, I remember. I remember very well. Yeah,
man, it was great. You was a great teammate. We helped each other. Come on. I still say to this day, I don't care what nobody said, Monte, we, by far, that 93 class, who can come compare, dog? Think about each one of us accomplished and achieved.
I'm with you.
You know what I mean? Ballers all the way across the ball. Now, I ain't gonna say it ain't no great players that came through there, but we just had that bond. It was unbelievable.
That was a good group.
Yeah.
Well, hey, Mike, I appreciate you taking time for us, man. It's always good to hear from you.
No problem, man.
When you're back in Manhattan, look us up and come out, and we'll have you up here.
Time soon, man. I'm probably looking at that KU game, by the way.
All right, holla at me. Let me know.
We'll both be there. But, we'll thanks for coming on. Best of luck the rest of the year for you and your guys.
I appreciate it, gentlemen. You guys have a good evening. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, Mike, take it easy.
Well, that'll do it for Monte and I. Thanks for joining us. Have talked to you guys. I don't think. Shoot, we should know this, but will we be on a bye week? I don't know if we'll shoot an episode next week. We'll see.
We'll find out.
Yeah, we'll find out. We'll see if anything exciting happens. If anyone else gets enters the transfer pool, or we didn't even get to that. So, we'll see how the Chiefs do this week as well. Maybe we'll talk about a little Chiefs action. So, until next time, thanks for joining us. Go Cats!
Thank you.
You've been listening to the Tannahill and Spiller Powercat Podcast, presented by Fridge Wholesale Liquor. Powercat Podcast. All rights reserved. GoPowercat.com and Spirit Street Publishing.
MTV's official challenge podcast is back for another season. Season 39, Battle for a New Champion. Yes, 24 contenders will compete to win their first championship. They know the battle, but not the victory.
So every week after the episode airs, come hang with us as we break down all the challenges and eliminations, and of course, get the inside scoop on all of the drama.
Listen to MTV's official challenge podcast wherever you get your podcasts.